Oh, earnings. Okay, earnings. Okay.
And we live, baby. GM.
GM.
Yeah.
Sorry for the late start, e-boys, e-girls. Cozy had a little sleep in.
Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah, very unlike me to sleep in my current form of cozy. I'm a very current cozy gets up early, is on time for things. Uh, Today cozy had a bit of a blunder. It was like a relapse into the
Jeez.
old cozy. Oh,
I like that background. I've seen that painting before in Paris, I want to say, but I fucking forget the name.
the one behind DK.
Yep, yep.
What is that,
Garden of
DK?
Eden. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Hey, that would make sense. Hey,
The
Mm-hmm.
Garden
you
of
know
Eden.
what? You know what? That might be it.
Got him.
I'm gonna have Doomer make us some like maybe a Garden of Eden background that that kind of is more of a Eden aesthetic.
Okay.
That'd
All
be
right.
They're
cool.
working on my Anata right now. The Marty Nata.
Nice. Dude,
Working on
they're making a
DKs too.
studio for us, Marty.
Ooh,
They're making a
it's
studio
like
in
a
the
VR
metaverse.
studio.
Yes,
Ooh.
a studio
Yep.
in the metaverse. We're gonna sit down like we're newscasters,
Oh yeah, I fuck with that.
It's
Tough.
dude.
That's
game
It's gonna be
tough.
over.
sweet, dude. And they're gonna
I
give us
could fucking
different
do
camera
that.
angles that we can then do on the stream, right? So then we're
Mm.
like camera one, camera two, camera one,
Oh, dude,
camera
we need
two.
a fucking director, bro. We need a fucking
Yeah, we're
director
gonna
in
Yeah.
the
need a
back.
director. We're gonna need
Thing
someone to
is,
put
DK,
in like
like
all the little subtitle stuff.
if
I
I
need
can
somebody on the lights. You know, the
we need
microphone.
someone more on like the content side that when we're done we'll chop them up, make little clips, and then can post those on Twitter for us.
Yeah, we need some interns.
Yeah, I need an intern
Mm-hmm.
to do that. If you're looking for work, I've got and you're experienced with content creation, I've got a job for you right now.
I make
Very
content,
easy.
but it's just in my bio. You know, but my links are in my
Nah,
bio.
I need a little TikTok zoomer.
Mm.
That's what I need. Need one of them little TikTok zoomers.
All right,
Let's let's
you
get
said it's
into
the
it.
influencer episode, right?
So the Dowfluenza, yeah, we're introducing DK as the very
Uh,
first Dowfluenza.
yeah, yeah.
He's taken over on in the Arbitrum Dow world with Wenmoon.
I'm just One Moon's personal assistant. You know,
Your
he
Wenmoon's intern.
he just tells me what to do. He says you need to reply on this proposal ASAP, and I do it. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, we'll spend a little bit of time talking about that. Just because I can talk about it because it's one of the
That's
only things kind of
huge.
going on right now. Um, yeah, so STIP obviously is ongoing, still KYC checks on the group side, the approved side, but then we're starting to see a bunch of stuff on people that did not qualify for the original STIP program, right? So you have a bunch of people that want to either back fund anyone who hit the quota and approval threshold, or there's a group that wants to do a STIP two round two and do it now. So there's like a bunch of different opposing methodologies, right? But you have these two groups that have been pretty much standing on the sidelines and not doing any sort of off cycle requests. And then you had layer three come in and put together a large proposal and say, hey, look, for all the STIP projects, we're going to do a full campaign, right? And they asked for a certain allotment to pay for infrastructure costs and stuff like that. And that kind of opened the floodgates
Yeah, I can see
because
that.
then you saw
Both
with
literally and figuratively.
oh dude so then within like 24 hours of that vote proposal going up, you're starting to see a lot more focus on it, right? So Blockworks did a joint proposal with Gauntlet and Trail of Bits, and they put that up, and it's for I think like roughly like 3 million or something in ARB tokens to do a lot of support for the DAO that would be led by L2B as the advocate, and the advocate would essentially be like the project manager that can say, hey, you can use this time allotment spend on this dev allotment spend on this. um, I have my own um, ideas about that proposal,
Sounds
but
like a proposal for micromanagement.
Well, I have a meeting with Blockworks Gauntlet Trail Bits on Monday, so I'm going to hold back my reservations until I have a wider discussion with them. But then you started to see Cypher, Dab, Rabbit, and their Quest protocol. So like within like 24 hours, you started to see all these off-cycle requests, and then you got all these people that 25, 30 projects that have been sitting on a STIP round 2, being like, what the hell? Like, we've been holding back because we've been trying to push this other thing, and these people come out of nowhere. They haven't been really participating in the forum at all, and then they come in with like all these different asks, right? And because I think that the Blockworks one kind of came in with this precedent to saying that like these groups will own these things, right? And so kind of like trying to push out like other auditors from the space, other research, other research collectives or companies from the space, saying like this, we will be the go-to for all this stuff, and these are our rates. So it's hasn't gotten the best, hasn't been received in the best light, because it's not necessarily democratic. It's kind of like, we want this money to do this, and we will be the go-to person to do this for. I think it should be more of like an RFP. We should approve 2 million ARB for auditor spend, and then we can have different RFPs come in. We can have different providers come in, and then whoever needs to spend that can actually choose their auditor of choice, right? And so that's what my proposal. That's my proposal was up before all these guys. But mine is more of a slow moving one, right? Because I'm trying to get buy-in from all the different projects. It's a round table, 9 projects lead this round table. It's what the evolution of STIP will be. It's that's what we'll shoot to be. Put up a good framework, allow for a barter system, so you get some Arbitrum grant tokens. You can use those to pay for auditor costs. You can use those to pay for marketing, whatever. But then as also a part of that is some shared resourcing, right? So if you're kind of approved to kind of move forward in this program, you get a max cap that you can use in whatever you want, but there's also shared resourcing, right? So like $1 million for economic auditors, $1 million for smart contract auditors, 250K shared resources for just infrastructure, RPC, stuff like that, graph costs, whatever. So there's like a bunch of stuff that we can get pooled costing as projects, get better rates overall. And so instead of coming out in each one of these groups coming out individually, we can get the prices down. And then projects that are building on Arbitrum, which my argument is that the biggest benefactors of the Arbitrum ecosystem are going to be the projects that are building there and driving usage and transactions and TVL and stuff like that to the system, is kind of the primary groups that you want to incentivize to build. They can kind of spend that as they want. They can move some of these hurdles, operational costs that they're facing in a silo. We can achieve economies of scale by kind of sweeping that out to a collective group. And yeah, that's the plan. But I'm moving slow on mine because it's my ask is for like 75 million for all of 2024 plus operational costs, whereas some of these are coming in for like 3 months. So I'm moving slow. But
now your 75 million, is that an ecosystem ask? Like you're saying the Arbitrum DAO should set aside 75 million for projects in the ecosystem who need, like audits, who need help with infrastructure, who need, whatever. Yeah, go ahead.
Roughly 3 seasons, right? 3 seasons throughout 2024. 20 million per season goes to projects at a max cap of 500K. So it's at minimum 40 projects, if not more. And then 5 million is for share resources per season.
Now, what would I would see 5 million for audits possibly going pretty quickly if, let's say, all the projects,
more for that. Yeah,
we're going to have a release cycle throughout the year.
I think we're gonna we just have to define the scope.
Yeah.
I think like for paying for large code base audits that are $500,000 for a protocol might not be the best use of that funds. But I think stuff like if you're doing a small enhancement to do a liquidity mining incentive, or if you're going to do a project where it's 2 different protocols working together on a joint product, something
Or
like
cost
that.
you like maybe 15K, 10K a month to have auditors that are just on hand working with you.
Yeah, and yeah, the continuous monitoring, stuff like that. It's like it's not gonna be you're gonna release your V4 of something and you need a 500K audit. Tap into this. I don't think that'd be something that you'd have to use your own spend for, partially some of your own spend for. This would be more for like cross collaboration or stuff like that.
Audit matching for final transactional audits. Or
Yeah,
cost matching.
yeah. I mean, that's what the ciphering act was, right? Is that they'll cover like 60% of the audit costs, or the DAO will cover 60% of the audit costs for like 20 audits or something.
I don't think that's a bad ask.
It's not a bad ask, but it's just like coming in at 15 different audit groups coming into the Arbitrum DAO and asking for that. It's not going to. People are not
Yeah.
for 15 different proposals.
Yeah, nobody wants to be beholden to a specific like group. You know, you need competition for there to be quality work that's done, in my opinion.
But yeah, I mean, the kind of the little bit of mayhem that's happened in the forum in the last 48 hours has brought a lot of the projects together even more. So.
Now, what do you think is upsetting people the most about these kind of second-handed proposals? Is it the fact that they're getting looked at and getting attention, even though they're not falling into the category of like a STIP round 2, and the STIP round 2 stuff is not, getting the attention first? Or is it simply the fact that a lot of these protocols pushing for this and groups aren't ones that have been as active in the governance forums as well as maybe our native Arbitrum protocols?
I think it's more about the fact that these groups have come out and asked for like large check. Like if you're going to come in and ask for a grant, you have to be somewhat humble, I think, on your ask, and not come in and be like, you're going to pay us more than our normal going rate to do these processes. And you know what I mean? Like the costing doesn't make sense.
They make them a discount.
Yeah, exactly. You'd think they'd be at a discount, especially for like retainer rates of like, 8 weeks of work a quarter, which is pretty much 2/3 of a full-time head, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's you don't think they would come in with over $1 million and for that one full-time, partially full-time ask, right? So they're not coming in at discounts, and they're kind of coming in and using like large names that haven't had a lot of presence in the space beforehand, but are now trying to, instead of, trying to build a name for themselves or like helping out projects and building out rapport, they're kind of just coming in with their big name and asking for a large check to be written. So I don't know if it'll go through. Who knows if the voting pattern is like the STIP voting pattern, whereas most of the votes came from the projects and the delegates that have those votes, and not necessarily the amount of tokens that are in escrow for release, because there is a ton of Arbitrum tokens for like early investors, the team, stuff like that could be used for voting, I believe. However, for the STIP, for the most part, they abstained. But if who knows, if they come out and they vote for this, then they can trample all the project's voting power. So who knows? That's an elephant in the room. Is if those votes actually like activate or not. But we'll see.
This
And
is
given
so
all
not
this,
my forte.
yeah,
You guys
yeah,
are the influenzas here, you know?
I used to be the drama king. Now I try to hide from all the drama. Given all of this like stuff going on, DK, how have you kind of fallen into a Dowfluenza role? Why DK? Why is everyone looking to you?
I don't know, just because I reply on people's posts on the forum. Because I built a Telegram bot that monitors the forum.
Active community member.
The thing is, DK is really active too. Like he loves to let people know that he's watching in like sly ways.
Yeah.
So they know that he has bots that are monitoring, but not only his bots, they know that he's paying attention to the output from all of his bots.
Yeah.
So I think it's given this reputation of that, you're very much in the arena when it comes to things going on the Arbitrum forum or in the governance world there. And like I was saying before we started the stream, I think it's really easy to kind of um, I don't want to say like gain power in those type of situations, but like in DAOs in general, there's this issue where everybody wants it to be decentralized, and you think they're like, oh yeah, if we make things that incentivize the holders, like they'll come with good proposals and good ideas, and like they won't really want this leader or leader group. But in reality, the majority of the time, investors don't want to
You don't have
work,
time. Like, not everyone has the
and
time to dedicate to this, and we're just in the trenches. Like, all these project leads are in the
yeah,
trenches, and so we're like,
yeah,
this.
I was
We
gonna say like
know what we want. We're building. It should ultimately be, it should help us out because we've chosen to stay on Arbitrum and build on Arbitrum. And there's other ecosystems that are writing checks, B2B checks for projects to come and build on their ecosystems. So, if we're gonna stay in and work on Arbitrum, we got to figure it out so that we can all the dev like brain power. I think that there's a lot of brain power in the Arbitrum ecosystem, right? Like, a lot of cool stuff is happening in the Arbitrum ecosystem, and now you're seeing ecosystems say, "Hey, come build on ours exclusively, and we'll write these checks for you, and we'll establish you as like um, the main protocol within this sector on our chain and all this stuff," right? So we just have to adapt to that on Arbitrum, and I'm happy to lead it until we get into a place that I don't no longer need to lead it. I think for the most part, like, it's just a matter of doing a little bit of coordination. A lot of people just discount coordination costs, and that's all I'm really doing is just doing coordination, getting things moving, using ChatGPT to help me write my proposals. That's all.
Yeah. What I was gonna say is like it's not that they don't want to work like for something in general. It's that this is additional work, right? Like when
But yeah, we
when
already
they
have full plates.
yeah
Absolutely.
they in their real lives already have full plates, and the crypto isn't the primary. Crypto is their secondary. Whereas for like protocol leads and people who are working in the industry, like this is your foot forward. This is
And it's a
what
tough
comes
time for
first every
builders
time.
right now. Like,
Yeah.
full stop. It's a tough time for builders right now. We have service providers that are leaving, moving to AI, or leaving Web3 in general. Like, the left and right, we're starting to see that, and it's disheartening. And it's like ability of like what the founders can do from a marketing and sales perspective to see if they can get money in this environment, which there's not a lot of checks being written. It's starting to come back a little bit, but not a lot of checks being written. And so what can we do to help those projects out? We're pretty much all facing the exact same thing, so we're just coordinating together, and hopefully things work.
We can integrate AI into all of our platforms and instantly be worth at least 4.5 billion. We all
Nah,
need to be. We need to have AI in our name or integrated and publicly traded, and we'll instantly be.
I'm gonna
Our
see if
plant.
Arbitrum AI is I can get that domain.
Prim AI.
But no, yeah, I'm moving slow, but I have a feeling because of all these proposals that popped up in the last 48 hours, everyone's going to run into governance fatigue. Someone's going to be like, we need something. That's the reason that mine has gained traction in the last 24 hours, even more so than it was before, is that, well, now we need to like actually make a move on this because this is not scalable. When it's not scalable to do 100 off cycles. We just got done with 92 STIP approvals. We can't be doing this all the time. So we need to get a framework in place. We need to start making the investments today so we can realize them in 6 months. And we need to do it on the project side, and where the need is, and not necessarily creating solutions for problems that don't exist today.
Do you see a lot of other? Because I'm not, I'm not a delegate. I'm not. I don't have an eye into this realm. Are there a lot of other project leads that are kind of stepping up and trying to help set framework or architecture for protocols that are working on Arbitrum, or do you see a lot of it just trying to push like singular protocols or sectors forward within the ecosystem?
No, there's not a lot of project leads that are trying to put up a framework that is a shared burden between all the projects, but benefits all projects. Most of it has been like, and it's all going to be, so far, it's for the most part either multi-ecosystem platforms, right? Like a questing platform that doesn't necessarily support Arbitrum over others. It's not like Arbitrum native or anything, or like media companies or an auditor that doesn't have any specific, they don't have any specific allegiance to Arbitrum. And then you have like the Dowiticians, like the politicians that are for multiple DAOs, right? Like the guys that just are like governance as a service.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the guys that are, but that's like that's their job, right? Like they go in, they get grants. That's like their bread and butter, but they also don't have like any allegiance to specifically Arbitrum. And so, yeah, I think this is the only one that's like Arbitrum specific per se. But look, the only reason I've been able to do this is because I'm supposed to be on a staycation for the last 2 weeks, right? Like no one really has time for all of this stuff. I can't sit on my hands and touch grass for too long. So
yeah, when DK took his time off, Marty, he said, "You'll see me. You'll still see me. I'm gonna be spending a lot of time on governance." I didn't think he meant like literally all of his spare time when he's not hopping on meetings that I didn't make to do governance stuff. Like all I see is you posting in
I'm literally
chat on the forum.
I'm terminally online. That's not like I'm terminally online.
You're
terminally
still
in governance
DMing
forum.
me, and I just reply vacation. Like if he asks me a question, I just reply vacation.
Or like when I post on Twitter, Marty's like,
yeah, vacation.
Yeah, there are some. I saw someone said that like someone tagged you and they're like, he's not active here, but he's active on X, and I was like, he's on vacation.
Yeah, that was someone in the Discord. I saw that.
I DM'd him and just said he's on vacation. What do you need? I shouldn't have asked.
All right, what else is going on in the news? That was a long DAO talk.
I don't know. Vols are back. That's all I know. That's all I know how to talk about. I don't know about this.
Tell us about the Vols.
Oh well, the Vols.
I mean, Vol hasn't really moved in 3 days, but I mean, I guess in the traditional market it has.
Yeah. So Vols in crypto pretty much bottomed in August in the 30 handle on DVol, Bitcoin and ETH. You're seeing upwards of 60 handle on DVol, Bitcoin. That's it. I mean, Deribit changed their rules. Did you guys? I know.
Yeah, I saw the post.
Did you understand what happened? So there's the big ETH overrider.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy would have like 400K Vega on one strike, right? So what kind of tail risk does that have if that guy was to implode, right? And he was, I don't know, there's different takes, but essentially he was dampening the ETH vol market by slinging too much vols, right? He's the biggest player in the space. So now Deribit changed the biggest one is that you can only have minus 400K Vega total. So this is going to have to change. This guy's going to have to change his whole strategy. And yeah, because he would just have it on one strike, right? So now imagine his whole portfolio can only be minus 400K Vega. That's pretty much the big one. That it just seems that they're protecting their tail risk if there was,
For the listeners, explain to us how Vega plays into an option or the market.
In this case, this guy was fucking slaying vol so much. Let's make it a little simpler. This guy had sold calls mainly or sold calendar spreads. So when you look at his plays, let's say spot was like 1,500. He was selling 1,600, 1,700, 1,800, 1,900, and 2,000, all the strikes like that were kind of close to the money, right? He's not selling 4,000, 5,000 strike, right? He's selling usually $500 in. So this guy was selling so many calls, only calls, for about a year and a half. And this guy was essentially just dampening the market. When you look at Vega, Vega is moves on implied volatility, right? So when there's no volatility and this guy just keeps dampening, if you look at FTX crash, it was 120 or 130 handle. This guy dampened it all the way to 30, one player, right? And there wasn't anything else really going on in the market. We had the Shanghai update, and that was pretty much it, right? Vols were meant to go down anyways, but this guy played a huge factor in terms of dampening the ETH market. And even now, you can see that there's a spread between Bitcoin devol and ETH devol. Sorry.
Yeah, so where delta is like the change in price relative to the underlier. So for an ETH option, how it changes in price based on the price of ETH. Vega is how it kind of changes as implied volatility changes. So if
it's a
implied volatility
increase
changes just
and
a little bit,
decrease.
his whole position moves dramatically.
Yeah. He really was only profiting on the 1% change of implied vol, right? That's what Vega is. Vega is the increase or decrease in an option price premium based on a 1% change in implied volatility. So when this guy has 400k Vega on one strike, either he's dampening the market, and if the market moves against him, he would lose a lot of money, so he would have to cover.
And we saw some of these.
Course,
we saw some of these implied volatilities move, like 50%, like almost doubled.
30 to
30
60.
to 50.
30 to 60.
30 to 60. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And realized vol is still below. I checked yesterday. I didn't check this morning, right? But realized vol was below. So yeah, I mean, this guy was the biggest like overhang in terms of tail end risk for Deribit. So they changed, and very interesting because usually they tell their bigger pimps ahead of time, like, oh, we're implementing a margin change, right? You would think that the bigger players would know first. And to my understanding, well, I never got a call, and some other bigger players that I know didn't get a call. It was all public at the same time. So you had all of these, shops or individuals having to change their whole portfolio margin system essentially. And this one guy now has kind of dwindled away. He covered a lot on Sunday and Monday this week to match the new rules. So I think that ETH has a little more freedom to move. I think I talked to somebody about this the other day, and they were like, "That's not why ETH moved or whatever." And you're like, I don't know. You saw it go from 1,500 to 1,900 or whatever, to high 1,800s, just within a few days based on that announcement. And the guy covering all of the short calls and short calendar spreads.
Yeah, you can never.
Update.
We're all hype. We're all guessing, right? We all have our. We don't know for sure. We're not in his head, so it could
I'm here
be
for the liquidations.
No, like the guy had to jump the spread, right? Like the Paradigm guys did the math. The guy paid like 2 million in jumping the spread, trying to cover all of his sold calls. But I mean, he lost one day. Like this guy only lost the other day, this week, and XRP, and like I think that's about it. Like he's pretty much cashed on everything for 18 months or whatever, a year. Yeah, this guy's cashed. Them, they, he, them, she, whatever. The entity.
Yeah. The entity formerly known as Redacted.
And funny because nobody knows, right? So when I go out to dinner with the Deribit guys, I always try to get them a little buzzed and, leak me some alpha, and nothing. Never.
DK knows.
Nah.
I think we have an idea based on the time that they fire off these orders, and the amount of size, but nobody can seem to find the collateral. That's also the other part. So is this guy selling, covered, or is he selling on some leverage? So nobody knows, right? Only the internal pimps at DBit know the truth.
Le leverage.
But
Yeah, I'm an idiot, right?
my assumption
Mm,
would be that either it's something like a copper third-party custody, so you never see the money actually hit Deribit, the Deribit hot
Yeah.
wallets,
yeah.
or I don't think this is happening post 3AC, that they have some players that have no collateral requirements, or that like a no liquidation clause until settlement, and then they'll settle up the difference. I don't think that's the
They
case
have
anymore.
some DBit credits.
I think that post 3AC, when they had to raise equity money to cover that loss, I don't think that's the case anymore. I don't think they would run into that issue again, but who knows?
Yeah, they had to raise money, but from what I'm told is, and what I see is that they make a lot of money. But this was more like punishment from the equity shareholders that they were like, we want more, we're greedy. That's my understanding there. Because it wasn't that much. Like, oh, we're gonna raise 40 mil at 400 or whatever. Like it wasn't insane.
They just sold, and they just let all the current equity holders increase their percentage allocation. The percentage.
Yeah, that's kind of my understanding of what happened, because it didn't make any sense why they took a down round when they make a shit ton of money, right? They had that hot wallet hack for 24 and something else, and they raised 40. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And then I got sat down and explained it, and they were punishing them.
Getting a scolding.
All right, so what's going on in the trial today? I know that Sam had his monologues yesterday.
Well, DYDX,
but there was no jury.
Yeah, there was no jury because they wanted to make sure that. So was he going to just repeat the same thing today in front of a jury? I don't really know.
I think
he's so
yesterday,
stubborn, bro. He's so stubborn. He's just gonna say the same shit.
They didn't they want to hear? Wasn't it almost like a preview yesterday? Like the judge wanted to hear what he.
I think so. Like to make sure that his answers were in. I think the judge wanted him to do all the questions beforehand, before the jury heard them, just to make sure that there were things that he said that the jury should not hear. So then there are people speculating that, like, oh, it's going to be a Binance thing, or it's going to be a Tether thing, or whatever. But I think it was just the fact that Sam, the judge has said that Sam has a very interesting way of answering questions, because he doesn't answer them directly, and he'll be like, it was not my assumption that this occurred, or so he just like answers very around the cuff. And the defense now is pretty much that I didn't know I was doing these things. I just signed the papers that the lawyers put in front of me. Right. Like I didn't, that's what the joke yesterday was, like, I didn't know I was the CEO. The lawyers put that paper in front of me. All right. Like, so that's like his defense now, is that it was the lawyer's fault. And I think that was maybe the concerns. I don't know if they'll actually bring the jury in or not. I've been.
Did you know that FTX stood for Futures Exchange?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. I just thought it was FTX. Like one of those. What's that?
All right. What's HTX?
What's that one? The boiler room scene with Ben Affleck. Is it that one? I forget. There's a funny movie where the guy's like, "What does this stand for?" He's like, "Oh, it stands for this." HTX?
Isn't that what Huobi is? And OK became.
I don't pay attention to fucking shady Chinese exchanges, bro.
Huobi, HKX, OKX.
Isn't Huobi like the biggest futures exchange?
No.
Oh, okay. I think it used to be. No, maybe before CME.
What? I don't know. When Justin's son was funneling his own money through it, maybe.
But you were right. Yeah, Cozy mentioned that DYDX launched mainnet today, I think, or yesterday.
Today.
All the fees go to stakers, or the nodes validators, and the stakers and the node validators, which is validated in DYDX tokens.
So is it just like a
dividend?
Yeah, like a dividend of finally there's some utility of some tokens. But how do you get onto their little island? How do you bridge over to their island?
Yeah, I mean it's just a Cosmo chain. I don't know. You just bridge it through wormhole or some shit, I guess. Or but they probably have their own canonical. You like just deposit in.
Doesn't this like leave them open to attacks and leave them vulnerable? Like this one way in and one way out?
Nah, if it's canonical, probably not. But they're super smart in how they did it because node validators are immune from regulatory persecution.
Mm-hmm.
Smart guys. Smart guys.
Very smart guys, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They just signed the papers that the lawyers put in front of them.
DK's not. They have very good lawyers. Yeah, DK has been.
They have the best lawyers, and their chief counsel just became the CEO of Polygon, and so now they have some more lawyers that they're hiring, I think. But they have, in my eyes, they have the best legal team in all of crypto.
Hmm. Do we know what firm it is?
No, it's in house. They got in house guys.
I thought it was like a scat and ARPS type thing, you know.
What do you think makes them the best put together kind of in-house group? Like what are the types of things that you've seen?
External counsel just doesn't focus on this shit, right? You need someone focusing on you need a team of lawyers focusing on this and wargaming every scenario, right? Like we're like, this is the problem I'm trying to solve. Make it happen. Right. And then you get a bunch of really good lawyers in a room for 6 months and they come out with something that was created in a lab that is pretty foolproof. Right. And that's what you see with DYDX and how they're currently, implementing things. You give it to an external counsel and they're going to be like, according to current securities law, this is unable to be done. Like they don't give a shit. Like external counsel they don't spend enough time on it. It's not their primary.
And that would be $2,000 for the email.
Yeah, we used to have to work with like a few different external counsels because you'd have one that was like super conservative, another one that was like pretty open to you doing trying things in the arena, and then you just needed another one to like find some balance, see which side was more was actually doable.
Yeah, it's annoying to continuously go to lawyers and be like, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. But like, is there any way we can try? Is there any defensible position doing this?
Lawyers love to talk. Lawyers love to talk.
And it's not necessarily they're looking like try to bend the rules or anything. It's just be like, what is a way that we can achieve this outcome and do it in the most compliant manner? And if they've been trained on securities law their entire life, and the current precedent is that crypto is following traditional securities law, then that they're not willing to think of creative out of the box solutions to try things, because a lot of it doesn't have precedent, right? So like there is no, people are settling out of court, nothing's going to trial, so like nothing's really been pressed. And so if you go based on no precedent, then you have to go based on old securities law stuff. And so some law firms, some of the most prestigious ones, are just, that's the way that they roll. They're like, we can't even give you recommendations, we can't even give you stuff that's defensible in position. And so those are the ones that are stuck in the old ways of doing things. And then most of crypto wouldn't exist if everyone followed those guys' rules.
I fully agree. I fully agree there. And lawyers love to talk. Lawyers like to milk you for that money. Send you an email. There's $500. You're like, oh god, guys, yeah, you need that in-house team. I guess you're right.
Yeah, I mean, any new innovation product is going to step on what the old precedent is, right? Like you saw it with Uber, right? Uber said, fuck it, we're just going to spin this up in every jurisdiction, and then we'll settle it on the back end when court cases come against us in the local jurisdiction. We'll just cover all the legal costs and we'll fight it. We're just going to do this we're going to do it the way we want to do it, and then we'll fight the legal costs on the back end.
Turo's doing it now.
Yeah, it's just like that's how an Uber is massive now. It's
Turo's
one of many examples.
They're considered ride sharing, and the airports, different airports around the U.S. have tried. Do you know what Turo is? Do you guys have that down in Brazil?
No, but I know what Turo is.
All right, for our global listeners, if you don't, Turo lets people rent out their own vehicles to you for periods of time. So instead of renting a car from Enterprise or Budget or somewhere, you can rent a car from DK3 and on for a week, and it's nice because if you want to have a nice car, if you at home have your Mercedes or BMW, and you go on a trip and you want to feel cozy, you can usually find a selection of pretty nice vehicles for the same price, if not cheaper, than you would have spent for your fucking Ford or Toyota, your Nissan Maxima
Or your
at
Jeep in
Enterprise.
Hawaii at $500 a day or some
Oh
nonsense.
man, dude, yeah. I had a Bronco out there, and yeah, they totally hosed me. But yeah, so I love Turo. I use it in every city in the U.S. that I travel in, and like DK was saying about Uber fighting stuff, they are considered a ride-sharing service, even though they're technically a car rental service. And at airports, if you're a car rental service, you need to pay to like have a spot there so people can come and rent your vehicles, and really it's just a way for them to milk you. But because they don't have fleets, they don't rent cars. They allow individuals to connect with other individuals to share their vehicle. They are by law a ride sharing service, and a lot of airports have banned them and taken them to court. Um, and they've won, in just about every city that has tried to take them. Um, and I know this because when I went to LA, I had a guy who didn't want to drop the car off at the airport because a few years ago he had been ticketed for it, and I wasn't having that. So I looked it up, and I sent him all of the all of the cases and the ruling showing that he can indeed like drop the car off at LAX. That LAX lost.
Fun fact about a little Toro, we rented a Hellcat one time and totaled it. And then the guy,
Jesus.
oh, I wasn't driving. Those pothole things, those service manhole things, the
Yeah.
metal
Mhm.
plates in the
Yep.
road. Yeah, the car was lowered on like some sport springs or something, and the plate had popped up from the car in front of us, like angled, and we just ran the fucking oil pan, the transmission, the
Oh,
fucking exhaust muffler all the way through. There was fucking
Oh my
fluid
god.
everywhere, and we were next to a dry field, so that was great. And yeah, I think it's like Liberty Mutual was the insurance. It was under my buddy's name. He was driving, and it was like $30, and that was it.
I,
And the guy was stoked because he had like a 2-year-old Hellcat or something, and he actually got a brand new one. So hey,
yeah,
cheers to Toro.
I lost a guy's BMW X7 keys one time, and and it was not. I was pretty stressed out about it because I was like, "Fuck, what do I even do here?" Like, I've got this guy's car parked in a parking lot. I think I was in. If I wasn't in Austin, I was in Denver, and so it was downtown one of those, and I'm like, I don't even know like what I'm supposed to do here. I got to get to the airport. Like, I don't have time to, fucking crawl around the city and retrace every one of my steps. I went to a couple places I'd been the night before, but couldn't find the keys. Luckily, the dude was super cool. He was like, "Hey, I can get him. I have a spare, and I can get him replaced. Like, this is how much they cost to get replaced." So it wasn't cheap by any means, but he still left me a great rating because I paid him right away, and we got it taken care of ASAP. But yeah, like I don't
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
I fucking hate it. It's kind of like Airbnbs. Like I hate Airbnbs now. I used to fucking love Airbnbs, B&Bs, but now I'm such a hotel guy because like I feel like Airbnb hosts have become entitled. Like when you go there, there's like 2 pages of rules that you have to read through. You've got them like stopping over or monitoring you on a camera. Uh, like I don't
I
know.
think this is a US thing. I think this is a US thing because I did the Euro tour, the Marty World tour, and we did Airbnbs. But how I like to do Airbnbs is for multi weeks. If it's like fucking 4 days, I'm doing a hotel. But I need to cook. I need to have the
Yeah, yeah,
laptop set up, and I felt it was okay. But then yeah, I go to LA or I go to San Francisco or New York. It's like, oh, here's the fucking dictionary. Here's the manual, and here's this ankle monitor that you have to put on, And if you don't fucking do the dishes, you're gonna have to pay $500. I'm like, dude, I swear to God, this is insane. You know?
Yep. I think when I travel like in other parts of the world, it's that like I'm usually staying in a major city or in a tourist city. So it's like I'm not looking for a home or an apartment to like rent when I'm there. I'm looking for a hotel that's either, close to restaurants or close to the beach or near the general areas or city center where I'm going to be like doing my tourist stuff. Um, but the other thing is that when I'm in other parts of the world, I can't get I can't get eggs for breakfast
Mm.
unless I'm at a hotel. Like nowhere in the world does eggs like breakfast eggs the way that America does, and it's something I yearn for. It's something I need. It's like I don't know. Do you have any foods like that, Marty? Like mine is eggs. I need to have fucking
A little
scrambled eggs.
comfort egg.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually they do that fried egg or it's like the omelet. They usually do like an omelet. No, I'm an egg guy, but I can skip that breakfast and I can do like a little brunch or lunch. I'm not too picky. My wife, on the other hand, needs like, oh, I need Activia in the morning. You're like,
Nah,
do you
I
know
need
where the
my
fuck we
coffee in
are?
the
There's no
morning.
fucking Activia around here. You know,
I need coffee in the
we're like
morning
in
and some
Turkey,
eggs by
like
like noon too.
fucking yeah.
Activity.
I could just do, yeah, like, dude, do you know where the fuck we are, dude? We're like in the middle of bumfuck nowhere in Turkey. Do they have Activia? You're like, no, no, they don't.
I remember
Oh,
being in some
so
like just
funny.
some places in Europe where where it was just like the thing I was asking for wasn't a cultural norm or a social norm. So I was getting
Mm,
looks like what the fuck are you asking for me? Like ice, right? Like I wanted just ice for my coffee because it was like there was a fucking heat wave when I was in Lisbon one year. And not only is there, only sip size coffees everywhere you go, but when it was hot as shit, I'm like, I just want something cold to drink, like, and I don't want
mhm.
water. So I'm like, can I have
I
ice
have
for
one
my
of these
coffee?
things.
And they looked at me like I was fucking nuts. Like literally, the three people that were working there were just like mean mugging me and like took the cube and were like, here, like this. I'm like, yes, just stick it in the cup. I just want a cold drink.
I got something like this, a little pet peeve thing that I have to have. Ziplocs. I don't know why, but go find a fucking Ziploc brand in another country. It's almost impossible. And I don't know why, but I always have this thing about Ziplocs, especially when I'm like I was in Paris for a month or whatever, and I could not fucking find a Ziploc to save my life.
Ziplocs. Are you talking about the little fucking things that you just like organize your wires with?
Hmm.
Oh no, the bag. No, the bag. Not a zip tie. Ziploc, the actual brand of sandwich bags. That I need to have.
Oh, okay, okay. All right, I see what you're saying.
I don't know why.
Z-
I don't know why, dude. That's like my autism, but I need Ziplocs.
Well, it's because nothing else has the Ziploc technology on their closing, of the bag. So,
Mm-hmm. That's why it's a
the
Ziploc.
strength of the grip there, it far
Mm.
outweighs and outcompetes any traditional sandwich baggie. Now, what is it that
See?
you're packing in sandwich baggies when you travel? Like that part, I don't get. I
Usually I
travel with a
like to
backpack
marinate meats. Usually I
while
like
you
to marinate
travel.
meats.
Mm,
Yeah, I'm more of like
yeah.
no, because I do the Airbnb thing, right? So I get like a 3 bedroom apartment. I feel comfortable and I'm there for a month. So I like to cook.
Yeah, that
And
makes
I'm like,
sense.
oh hey, I'm gonna have marinated chicken. And they're like, yeah, we just have this shitty Ziploc bag that's gonna have olive oil everywhere. But if I have a nice Ziploc, the little gallon Ziploc, you know what? Cooking goes on, Chef Marty, you know?
Yeah,
Mm.
I'm gonna have to come to Brazil, get some of that Chef Marty
Oh yeah.
cuisine.
Yeah, we're doing a barbecue tomorrow. Little chicken hearts on the grill, I guess. Little delicacy here.
Dude, it's under freezing today where I'm at.
I
No,
haven't
come
been
on, man.
outside yet. I gotta
Really?
look at the temp.
Yeah, it's gonna
See.
snow. It's gonna snow this weekend. It's supposed to.
No, it's not.
It's supposed to snow this weekend, dude. Yeah.
You'll be
Dude,
so mad.
it's
I'm wearing a,
80
I'm wearing a
degrees right now.
I'm wearing a beanie inside right now.
It's 73 right here,
Jesus
DK.
Christ.
Mm.
You know what's so funny? When it's like 15C, I know you love burgers, but that is too F. When it's 59 degrees, when it's
Thank
59
you, thank you.
degrees Fahrenheit.
Just say like when you wear shorts and a sweatshirt. When you wear jeans and a
So
t-shirt.
when it's 59 outside, we have ethanol cars, but it's not E85, it's like E20. It's like a shitty ethanol. So the car doesn't start if it's under 15, right? Like these flex fuel cars. So it's never colder than 59 degrees. If it's 59 degrees, my wife has like her North Face on and her Doc Martin boots, the leather ones. Like it's so funny. Like the Brazilians, they wait for it to be, 50, 60 degrees, and they're waiting all year to put on that down puff coat. And they love it, dude. They're sporting that shit.
Bro, that's me. I not with the puff coat, but I wait all year for my hoodie, sweatshirt weather. Like I need to be cozy.
That's I mean, I'm not trying to. I used to work in different regions in which it would get really cold, and we had a lot of expats from India, and like in India, it never gets cold, right? And so like if it gets below freezing, or like even they can't, they don't know what to do, they can't handle it. But yeah, there's
My wife shuts down, bro. Her liver just stops. Her heart.
your whole entire life never been that cold. They're like, I didn't know that like the world could get this cold.
I'm a freeze baby.
Yeah,
now
like
as an
my
adult.
wife probably had like before we went to Europe, she had never felt 40 degrees Fahrenheit or below.
That's crazy.
She's like 30, bro.
Damn.
Hell de Janeiro, there's no winter.
Yeah, we've had some freezers out here, some record lows. But I grew up like right near the lakes most of my life, like from the time I was like 4.
It gets cold, yeah.
And when you're by the Great Lakes, like right on the water, it gets really fucking cold in those cities. Like downtown Chicago, in the wintertime, because of the way that the city is set up, how it's like a grid, the wind just blows like with force through those streetways that are perpendicular to the lake, and that wind chill is no fucking joke.
Chirac is cold, baby.
Bro, Chirac is a different type of cold in the winter when you're in the city near the water.
I don't like living like that, bro. I like wearing flip flops and board shorts all year round. I don't know, like I didn't make it this far to fucking take cold showers. I don't even do that. So how am I gonna deal in freezing snow and conditions unless it's for fun, right?
You didn't come this far just to come this far.
Exactly. I gotta jump off, pimps, but thanks for tuning into the show. Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate you joining. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We will see you back after the weekend. Have a good one.
Ciao.
Later.